All right, guys, even if you're not quite finished reading, that's fine. You can finish it up at some point. It's the homework for tonight is super easy. It won't take you 5 minutes to do it anyway. Evolution. I tend to be the one that gets stuck doing evolution. Most of the grade school teachers kind of want to steer away from it. Have you ever talked about evolution prior to this point?
Nope.
No, I didn't think so. And the reason being, it's kind of a difficult topic for younger people to understand. There's a lot of religious aspects of evolution that can cause a lot of people to disagree. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that, I think people evolved from apes and all this. I'm not going to tell you that, and I don't think that. But what I do need you to agree with me, and we kind of talked about this the other day, that living things have to adapt to their surroundings. If they don't adapt to their surroundings, they're going to die. It's that simple. So whether it be a change in climate, a change in habitat, a change in the way they get their food, they have to adapt or they will not make it. So if we can all agree that aspect of it is true, then we'll be fine. I think Gunnar had a question?
You can look at it whatever, but evolution is real because you can spray bacteria killer on a bacterial colony, and a few of them will survive.
Correct.
They shouldn't, but they will.
They will. They will figure out a way, because that is how important it is to that, whether it's bacteria or whatever living thing, that's how important that life or continuing this life cycle is. Yes?
I'm pretty sure there was a study where like mites or whatever, from the 1960s, they actually had thinner shells, but when like that bug spray was produced, over the next few generations into nowadays, their shells became thicker.
Correct.
And more resistant to bug spray.
Correct. So
And,
there again, there's your example. That's the kind of evolution that I want us to at least agree on.
And
Okay?
there's like owls that are changing their colors
There's moths.
and
There's lots of things that have changed the color of themselves in order to survive. Let's just go through a few of these together. We're going to do these out loud. You can fill them in as we go through. I've got the answers up here. So what do we call changes in inherited characteristics of species over time? What do we call it?
Evolution?
Evolution. And if you need to know how to spell it, it's right there at the top, ideas about evolution. A species is a group of organisms that share similar what? Characteristics. C-H-A-R-A-C-T-E-R-I-S-T-I-C-S. And if you don't spell it right, no one's going to care. I'm not grading this. This is just a little review for you guys so that, just kind of helps some important points is all we're doing. This is not for a grade. I'm not even going to look at this. I'm telling you right now. This is just to kind of help you out. So they share those similar characteristics, and what can they do among themselves? Reproduce. R-E-P-R-O-D-U-C-E. And we had a couple of guys we talked about. The first one was Lamarck. We know scientists don't get it right the first time. Sometimes they come up with an idea and everybody's like, oh, that's it. And then they're like, oh, well, maybe that's not exactly it. Yes, question?
Almost like the coronavirus vaccine.
Yeah, you're right. Think about how much we've learned about that just in the year.
It's like it's not out of the ballpark,
Right.
but it's not completely
100%, right. So this guy, Lamarck, he's the first one that came up with the idea that, there's something to this, living things changing and adapting. Lamarck's theory of acquired, A-C-Q-U-I-R-E-D, characteristics was not supported by evidence. So his theory was, okay, this giraffe has to stretch its neck and stretch its neck and stretch its neck to get that food. So it's almost like those muscles in their neck learned that, so then they passed that trait to the offspring. Is that how it works? No, it's not how it works. It's the genetics that giraffe possesses then passes that long neck gene on to their offspring. That's actually how it works. Okay, hold on. Let's keep going. Part B. Darwin's model of evolution. Charles Darwin, he's considered the father of evolution. He's the one that came up with this whole idea. So Darwin hypothesized. What is a hypothesis?
It's like a theory,
Okay.
a guess, perhaps.
But, okay, can I make a guess about something I don't know anything about? Is that a hypothesis?
Like an
No,
idea?
No.
it's an educated.
There you go. I've had to do some research. I have to already have some kind of information in my brain already. And I have to, study it and learn more about it. So when you make a hypothesis, you're basing this on information that you know and that you've learned. Then you're making your educated guess. So Darwin hypothesized that plants and animals on islands off the coast of South America originally came from Central and South America. Number 2, Darwin observed that species of finches on the island look similar to the mainland finch species. Number 3, Darwin reasoned that members of a population best able to survive and reproduce will pass their traits to the next generation. Over time, differences can result in separate species, S-P-E-C-I-E-S. So whatever S-P-E-C-I-E-S, so whatever these traits are in the ones that are surviving, they are passing those traits on to their offspring. Those offspring are surviving, they're passing those traits on. What, Jalen Gibbs?
What's number 1?
I don't know. I'll have to come back to you, okay? 'Cause I'm not sure which one we're on. All right, letter C. Darwin's hypothesis became known as the theory of evolution by what? What's the name of that process? Anybody remember?
Natural selection.
Natural selection. That is when living things make the decision on their own who they're going to reproduce with. Natural selection. Organisms with traits best suited to their environment will more likely survive and reproduce. Are the sick, weak, unhealthy living things, are those the ones that are going to be strong and survive and reproduce? No, they're going to die.
That's just the way nature works.
Correct. Natural selection. Yes.
I've also heard of people like doing stupid stuff and dying. Would that be considered natural selection?
No. That's just stupidity.
That's just called
All right.
stupidity.
I'm on letter D now. What do we call an inherited trait that makes an individual different from other members of its species? Somebody got a variation. Very good. V-A-R-I-A-T-I-O-N is an inherited trait that makes an individual different from other members of its species. An adaptation is a variation that makes an organism better suited to its environment. Number 1, many environmental factors, E-N-V-I-R-O-N-M-E-N-T-A-L, can cause changes in the sources of genes. And then number 2, geographic isolation. So basically, if you have this type of species that's on an island by itself and it's not near any other species, they're going to be different than the one that might be on the mainland. And then E, there's 2 models that explain the speed of evolution, how fast it occurs or how slow it occurs. What's the slow one called?
Slowness.
No? Yeah.
Gradual.
Gradualism, G-R-A-D-U-A-L-I-S-M. And what's the fast one called?
Punctuated.
Very good. Punctuated equilibrium. P-U-N-C-T-U-A-T-E-D.
What?
Hold on, it's at the very last page of your section. Punctuated equilibrium. P-U-N-C-T-U-A-T-E-D. Equilibrium. E-Q-U-I-L-I-B-R-I-U-M.
Punctuated equilibrium.
Punctuated equilibrium, that's the fast one.